Hi, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is January 16th, and oh my God, was that not a fascinating hour of television last night on the Rachael show? And there is part two coming tonight, so there are still more bombshells and more revelations to come to light. So that was fascinating. Anybody who didn't see it or doesn't have access to MSNBC, I'm sure, CNN, NBC, you know, they're going to be playing clips of this stuff all day long. And then probably in the afternoon, they'll release, a tease clip from today's. So very interesting what's going on. I mean, he just threw everybody under the bus. I mean, he made it perfectly clear that Trump knew exactly what was going on every step of the way. He made it really clear that Bill Barr is in cahoots with these people up to his ears, and that he was absolutely involved in all of this. Giuliani didn't come out looking so good either. So there was a lot of, what he did was he sort of confirmed the stuff that was confirmed, or confirmed the stuff that we already knew about or heard about. And he was just adding another element or angle to it. So that was like really insightful. I loved that he called out Devin Nunes and said, yeah, in fact, I'm pretty sure he said, we've talked, we've had conversations, text messages, whatever. And so they were showing the clip of Nunes literally in the middle of December saying, I don't know, I talked to all kinds of people. I don't specifically remember this guy. And literally last night on Fox News going, Eureka, I remembered. What a bunch of fools. Okay. So obviously that's going to be the topic of today's tarot reading. I want to take a look at Lev Parnas, and I want to take a look at the implications of some of the information that is coming out. Now, before I do that, for those of you who do pendulum work or enjoy working with pendulums, for those of you who enjoy watching, I want to show you this. This was not my creation, but it's something that I do use on occasion. So I'm just going to bring it down. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Come on down. Okay, so what we have here is, 0, 10, 20, 30, all the way to 100%. And I have another one that is, January, June, December, right? All of the months. So the one I work with is a little bit smaller and perhaps a little prettier, although not by much. But I wanted to enlarge it so that you could have an idea of kind of how this works. So the pendulum has been, sort of cleared, and it's ready to answer questions quickly. Now, a lot of people have commented that this pendulum kind of does the opposite of what other pendulums do. And this pendulum, typically a round and round motion like that is considered a yes, and that kind of back and forth thing is no. And when people ask about it, I say this pendulum was programmed so that back and forth became yes. It's as simple as that. And part of the reason that it was programmed that way was because this would then be much easier. So I'm going to give you an example. So let's start with the Lev Parnas information that was released yesterday and will be released today. The interviews with Rachael Maddow, which was incredibly informative and packed full of information. How much sort of did that sway the energies towards the Democrats? So the information that came out from him, how much was that beneficial to the Democrats and their goals? So let's take a look. Okay, now don't, okay, give me a percentage, please. How much benefit did the Democrats derive from this information becoming public? Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see this clearly, but it's definitely pointing to the 70. So that looks like it definitely, you know, it's a good thing that this stuff is coming out. How likely is it, as a result of this and other information that's going to come out over the next week or so that we maybe don't even know about yet, how likely is that to influence the Republicans into pretty much having to bring in witnesses and documentations for the trial? Okay, and that's showing it's going towards 100. And I'm going to ask something else so you can see the difference when it goes to the 0, okay? Oh, how much chance does Donald Trump have to be reelected in 2020? So this is interesting, and for pendulum users, you'll probably notice that it's like the pendulum goes up and down, but it's down always sort of stays at the same place as if there's something holding it. It doesn't do a full swing. It's just one of the kind of really cool things about working with this sort of a deal. One more question. So how likely is it at this point that Donald Trump will be removed as a result of the Senate trial today? Current energies. What is that looking like? Yeah, which is kind of the answer I got before I started recording. It's sitting at somewhere between 30 and 40%. So there's a long way to go to kind of guarantee any sort of, you know, definitive removal. And this one, I have only one question to show you with this one. We'll see if I get the same answer that I've gotten before. So as of right now, you know, the cards talked a lot about the trial going on, and there being bombshell information coming out that really, really almost like forced Trump to seriously consider leaving office, or the senators to actually go to him and say, you need to get out now. You don't want us voting on this. What month is it most likely, if Trump is going to leave office early, what month is that most likely to happen in? Yeah. And I have asked this question several times, and I typically get, you know, somewhere between March and April. And it's interesting. Something came to my attention today that I didn't, I sort of wasn't cognizant about. That is that somewhere around the early March, I'm thinking, and I don't know if this is consistent with every district and area, but somewhere in March is the cutoff where Republicans cannot get primaried. And so what they're saying is, you know, it's very possible that if this thing is still dragging on, once that threshold passes and senators realize that they're safe from Trump sending in, you know, someone to challenge them, so that they feel like their seat is at least safe that way. It's going to be interesting to see how many of those people kind of start changing their mind about some of the tunes that they have been singing. So I hope you enjoyed that. You know, again, energy shift and change all the time. So you have to be, you know, mindful that these answers are not set in concrete, but I thought you would just kind of enjoy it. It's a really interesting thing that you can, you know, an interesting way to use a pendulum. So I want to take a look at the impact of the Rachael Maddow interviews with Lev Parnas. Like, I want to get an energy reading on what is going on behind the scenes. I think that Trump is absolutely raving, like so angry that he actually doesn't have words. He's just like in a rage, in an absolute rage. You know, it's not like the Republicans did not know and did not have this information. I'm quite sure that they would have had access to it as it was coming into the Intel Committee, even over the last few days. But, you know, they live in this interesting bubble where they think that it won't come out. It's not, you know, it'll be okay. We can cover this. We can manage this. We can spin this. And when you got somebody coming out like him who has contemporaneous notes, he has emails, he has voice recordings, really hard to say, oh yeah, that's just a bunch of crap. So, let's take a look at the impact of the Parnas-Maddow interview last night. Come on down, I have a question. All right, so Rachael Maddow, Lev Parnas, the result, what's going on right now behind the scenes as a result of what was released yesterday. Reaction, Lev Parnas. Reaction, Lev Parnas. Reaction, Lev Parnas. Okay. All right. Well, some people are very sad. Okay. Some people have come to realize that, oh, wait a minute, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're actually probably not going to be able to keep hidden under the carpet. The truth will out us eventually. And so there's a lot of worry, a lot of agitation, and frankly, a lot of people almost having like heart palpitations. This has ratcheted up their level of stress and anxiety to untold levels. They are panicking, frankly. Okay. And again, you now have this Nine of Swords indicating that you have got, you know, people who have really been backed into a corner now. You have people who are almost beside themselves trying to figure out how to actually defend what's going on, things they've said before. God knows they're out there spinning, but I don't think that their spinning is actually being effective. And this is the other thing. You know what? You have that small handful of people with the mouths, but boy, oh boy, you sure are not catching any other Republicans, the quieter Republicans, saying a whole heck of a lot about this. And again, those senators are going to be very strongly impacted by how much flack they get from their constituents. And if their own constituents are saying, don't you dare cover this up, they're going to have to at some point start acknowledging and reacting to that if they think that they're going to be able to hold their seat. As for the Democrats, quietly behind the scenes, they are sort of celebrating a wee little bit, because exactly what they hoped would happen as they released this information happened. Now, I don't know how much of a heads up or any heads up that some of these outside groups got in terms of the interview. But they knew, you know, he was corroborating the documentation. So it's not like he was coming up with some story out of some different cloth. So they already had the information. What yesterday's interview did was it really flooded it out there into the public. And again, as she is so brilliant at doing, put it in a very cohesive, organized way to follow what was, you know, what it all means. So they're pleased because they understand that public pressure is really going to be the element that changes the course of this and takes the power out of the Republicans' hands to just sort of, run roughshod over this. And they actually, with every day that goes by, they're being more and more forced to at least give the appearance that they're trying to be fair. And emotions, they're what you say, they're running a little hot. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of overwrought emotions. There's a lot of extreme emotions. Because what is coming out really is the fact that there are people at the highest levels of government who have behaving in such a way that is, it's wrong. It's illegal. It is unprecedented. I mean, throw whatever word you want to use out there. It is all of it. You have an attorney general for the United States actually flat out in constant communication with Giuliani and that Victoria and Joe, that husband and wife kind of scary team that it's always hanging out on Fox. He's in constant communication with them. You cannot tell me he didn't have a clue what was going on. You have Mike Pompeo, who is absolutely turning a complete blind eye to the fact that one of his ambassadors was probably being surveilled. Now, not that Parnas said that was actually happening, because he said this Hyde's guy was just continually drunken, so you couldn't really take anything he said seriously. However, that is not stopping the government of Ukraine from opening up an investigation to look into this. Now, unfortunately, the government of Ukraine at this point is hoping that they can partner with the FBI and get to the bottom of this. Okay, well, that's going to happen with, it's about likely to happen as the temperature outside my window going up to a balmy 25 degrees Celsius, or I'm not sure what that is, mid-70s, I guess, in Fahrenheit. Just so you know, it is currently tracking, the wind chill is currently tracking out here at between minus 45 and minus 50. Still a little cold, okay? So what I'm saying is, the FBI and him getting together, I don't know that that's going to work because, of course, Bill Barr oversees that situation. So the Pompeos and the Barrs are getting into more and more trouble. Nunes has been found out to be very closely connected to this. He's getting in trouble. So a lot of people are starting to realize they thought they were bulletproof, and what they're recognizing is, in fact, we're not built bulletproof, and we're going to be called on the carpet for this one way or another. And there's the Fool and the secrets that are coming out. And what he did was he tried to get things by force, things by stealing them. And people are starting to walk away. And I've been saying this for a week or so now, that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. People are pulling back from him. They're walking away. And frankly, as they sort of get to that place where more and more of them are unable to defend him, you're going to see him pulling away from them. And there's going to be this kind of big void in the middle where there's no cohesion left, right? There isn't it sort of turns very choppy, and literally the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, and kind of vice versa. So there's a lot of concern. Now, what we have is some people in power. Yeah. So the two kings coming up side by side is literally talking to me about Republicans in positions of power. And they are starting to see their promise, their future, really, really going by the wayside, because they are now surrounded by the Eight of Swords, which has tied their hands. It's forced them to look away, and it has got them now surrounded by their own lies, mistruths, and misdeeds. So that's not looking so good for them. They're going to continue to try to juggle. They're going to continue to try and spin. And frankly, the more they do, it's kind of a good thing, right? Because more and more information is coming out, and the rule of law is sort of picking up momentum, if you will. And it's really starting to build up a head of steam, because you know, everybody understands that to some degree or another there is corruption in government. No, it's not ideal. Yes, we all wish it wasn't like that, but it is like that. And I think for the most part, people are willing to look away. You know, if it's not so blatant, it's not you're in your face, and it's kind of not, you know, I guess, morally reprehensible, okay? But what's happening is day by day by day, the information that's coming out is, it's horrible. It's just absolutely horrible. So they can juggle all they want, but the law is literally coming after them. It's chasing them. Oh, and here comes judgment. So they are going to be judged on their behavior. And frankly, it's not only going to be Trump. It is going to be McConnell. It is going to be Lindsey Graham. It is going to be Mnuchin and Pompeo and Barr and Pence. Oh my goodness. Even Pence got thrown under the bus in that interview yesterday. So there is a lot of judgment that is coming down, and the more information that comes out, the harder the judgment is to sort of spin, okay? It's going to be harsh, and it's only like it literally boils down to whether or not the people in their areas can actually apply enough pressure demanding a fair trial with witnesses and documentation. If that happens, you're going to see kind of a real turn and shift in the actual energy around this situation, because it is not going to be so easy to just say, I'm not going to listen, I don't care, and I don't care what the truth is. And by the way, speaking of those kinds of shenanigans, Susan Collins is absolutely, her behavior is absolutely appalling. She constantly does this, oh, I'm so concerned, I'm so worried, I don't like this. And then she turns around and falls exactly into party line. And, you know, that seems to be what's going on with her again. If I have any viewers in Maine, you know, give me a bit of a heads up here. Let me know in the comment section what is going on there with her people. What are her people saying? Because the way I understood it, that she was already, the writing was already on the wall when she voted for Kavanaugh. So I'm not sure why she's doing this, because it almost appears as if she doesn't have any instincts for self-survival. But you know, I'm not in Maine, so maybe her people are saying, yeah, no, you just keep blocking this, that's what we want. But so if you're out there, let me know. And again, more delusions, more smoke and mirrors, but and honestly, the more kind of deranged and unhinged Trump is going to be, there are going to be more information coming out about partnerships. And I think, although I don't know if it's coming out right away, but there's definitely an indicator that there's going to be information coming out probably a little bit down the road pertaining to other countries who Trump was trying to either bully or strong arm into a certain kind of behavior. Certainly, I mean, you have that with him literally hiring out the military for money in other countries. But there's going to be more and more information coming out. And at some point, that really secure server that is holding all of this information so that it is so damaging to Trump, that information is going to come out. And when it does, people who maybe think that they escaped the boiling pot this time are going to find out that in fact they are not in the clear. Yeah, really significant change of fortune coming with every new piece of information. And I've been saying, and here it is again, that the information is going to just keep on coming. Like literally every day, every 2 days, there's going to be another bombshell. There's going to be another explosion. There's going to be more people scrambling and trying to cover up their steps or spin this in a way that makes sense. And of course, none of it makes sense because everybody is in on it, okay? Everybody. All of those high echelon people, all those people that you were like, okay, you know, we can count on the Secretary of State. We can count on the Treasury. We can count on the Attorney General. None of those can be counted on. And okay, I know most of you didn't even think you could count on them to begin with, but they're all in it. And as we find out more and more, they are jeopardized. At some point, at least some of them should have some sort of a survival instinct that kicks in. But make no mistake, there is more and more information coming out about all kinds of things. And the strength of what is coming out is powerful. It talks about the thefts. It talks about the quid pro quos. It talks about the Trump cabal. And people are going to start understanding how incredibly expansive and how unbelievably corrupt it was. Oops. Yeah, the secrets are going to bring them down. Not just Trump, a whole bunch of them. So, he's not finished talking. And, you know, they did say, I mean, people are sort of questioning, you know, well, why would he do that? Anybody who's in that position with the Southern District of New York, you know, they shouldn't be talking and you know, whatever. Well, Rachael Master was asked about that by Lawrence O'Donnell last night. And, oh, look who was sitting at the bottom of the deck. Hiding. And she said that her feeling very clearly was that he felt that he was actually physically safer if he was really out there getting information out. Because if he had all of this information and it was being hidden away or kept quiet or private, he was frankly more at jeopardy. Once he's standing on the rooftops telling everybody his story, it's kind of much harder to make him or his story disappear. So I think that was his motivation. And frankly, anybody in that position, I think that's a really darn good motivation for kind of saying, okay, I have to come clean and I have to, you know, wipe the board clean on here. Okay, so I hope you found that comforting. I hope for those of you who use pendulums, you thought that little demonstration was interesting. And like I said, you know, some answers, it's with the same with all pendulum work. Some answers are very, very consistent for a period of time, and then for some reason they just swing. And that goes frankly both ways, right? So hang in there, pay attention, watch Rachael Master for God's sakes. Enjoy your day today. It feels day by day, it feels like it can't possibly get any worse. There can't be any more bombshells. Trust me, the bombshells are coming and they're going to keep on getting worse and worse, and they're going to be confirming stuff all over the place. Take your deep breaths, stay relaxed, stay focused, keep your thoughts positive, and pay attention because there is a lot going on, and this is the stuff that ends up in history books. Okay, so until next time, take care. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye.